3-2 pitch. 99-mile-an-hour fastball hit in the air. Out to deep right field. Stanton at the wall. Stop. Goodbye. Alejandro Kirk with his 6th home run of the season. Holmes deals, and Kirk slugs one again out to deep right field. Stanton back, turning around. It's out of here. A multiple homer game for Alejandro Kirk. The 3-2. Slider, strike 3 called. Gardner goes down looking to finish the ball game. And the Toronto Blue Jays on the strength of Alejandro Kirk's 2 home runs and a long ball by Marcus Semien. Right, great pitching all night long to a 5-1 victory over the New York Yankees. Happy hump day, middle of the week already. Rained all night. I think it's going to be a clear, gorgeous, beautiful day outside. And it never hurts that everything continues to go our way in the sports world this week. The Blue Jays won. Everybody else in the wild card race lost. That's the second consecutive day that happened. Both Leila Annie Fernandez and Felix Auger-Aliassime advanced at the U.S. Open, and the Canadian men's soccer team continues its pursuit of a World Cup berth tonight with a date down at BMO against El Salvador. Everything's looking on the up and up, Sig. I mean, geez, man.
Yeah, it's another good day in Canadian sports. And I'm trying to get settled here this morning. Everything's good except me getting settled.
What's going on over there? What's going on over there?
The laptop went out this morning.
Oh, the laptop.
Fired up fine. Well, I fired up around 4:30. Everything's fine. And then 15 minutes before the show, it kind of shuts down. So I'm trying to email tech support as the show starting right now. And then my backup headphones aren't working. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough morning. It can't go smooth. I feel like this has been kind of successful compared to other shows with just tech issues, connections being lost, bad connections. So I don't know how this one's sounding right now, but my main setup is down and my backup setup is down. This is my second backup I'm on right now. So if this one goes out, I'm calling in.
So what have you tied like a tinfoil wrap to your head or something like that?
Much.
You got
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I've got the Apple headset in right now, so this is the one I don't like using.
Okay.
I actually like using it. I can hear myself because some of the setups I have the headphones where I can't hear. I don't know what do you call it, like the feedback or the IFB or whatever you want to call it. I don't know the real technical.
You hear
name
yourself
of it.
on the loop? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
you speak
it's
and
not
then you
even the loop. Well, I mean, when you're on the radio, you want to be able to hear what you're saying. If I have certain headphones in, it's so locked in. I can't hear anything. So these Apple headphones are actually better. But yeah, so my first set's down, my second set's down. This is my second backup, and like I said, I hope I hope I get this figured out here in the next little while. So I'm as we're talking right now, I'm trying to email tech support. Maybe they're up listening right now. I don't know what time they go into the office at, but I don't think it's 6 a.m.
They're 24/7, Ziggy. 24/7. There is always a person manning. Oh yeah. Oh, somebody is always manning the desk. Manning the desk.
Okay.
You'll hear back in a good hour, 2, maybe 3, just in time, just to be in time to be the first guest on Good Show this morning, in case you happen to be booked. We'll see how it all plays out. Well, it's good to have you here, and this is an exciting time because I'm thinking back to late last week, and you and I have been having some fun with this race to 90, and we get the horse music going and on. And there were doubters, and I'm not slamming those doubters, because I was a doubter myself. I've said this on the air. I tweeted it at the time. The Marcus Semien Air game, the last game of that home series a few weekends ago against Detroit, when the Jays had defeat snatched from the jaws of victory, I thought, this isn't going to be it. They'd come back from the West Coast. They hadn't looked particularly good out there. A couple of bum games against the Washington Nationals before returning to Toronto. And it just felt like this young or youngish group had run out of steam. And here we are this morning. Here we are this morning, Zig, with the Blue Jays now 2.5 back of the Yankees, having beaten Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole in New York last night. The Jays will do no worse than a split in this 4-game series. And what have we been saying this week? They need at least 3 out of 4. Well, in order to do that, they got to win either tonight or tomorrow. If they win both tonight and tomorrow, then the conversation changes entirely. But they're 2.5 back of the Yankees. The Red Sox got thumped again by the Tampa Bay Rays at Fenway Park. The Jays are 2 back of Boston, and they have the same number of losses as the Red Sox. Seattle had a lead into the later innings in Houston last night, did not hold it. The Astros won, and way out on the West Coast, Oakland continued to slide, losing to the Chicago White Sox in the opener of their 3-game series with the Sox. I mean, it's all coming up Jays right now, and they're in this thing. They are absolutely right in the heart of this wild card race.
Yeah, and Kirk getting the scoring starting last night, and that's we were talking about him a lot yesterday. And where do you see him?
Just before you take it a step further on Alejandro Kirk, I just thought, and talking Josh Santos, good guy filling in for Silent Vic this week. And the first thing he said to me when I walked into the office this morning is, remember when you said this? Alejandro Kirk needs to play. Mm-hmm. And Alejandro Kirk plays a position that requires days off. He's a catcher. So the only way that you can get Alejandro Kirk's bat into the lineup on days he is not catching is by DHing him. And if George Springer is occupying the DH spot each and every day and not occupying it particularly well because of his injury, not because of any shortfall on his part, but because of his injury, then maybe it's better to lengthen your lineup just a little bit more by having a red-hot bat in Kirk's in the lineup every single day. I don't recognize that voice. Who said that? Who said that? Sorry, I could injure myself patting myself on the back. No, but I mean, it's an obvious comment. Guy's red hot.
Yeah, it's where does he fit in, right? To the whole, with the team right now. Where do you see him with Jansen and McGuire? That's the thing, right? I think what's holding Kirk back is just how people see him in a non-athletic way. I really do think if things were different from the way you look at Kirk and what you see, I think the general fan base and all the analysts and all the media, I think we would see him in a different light. I think we would be fine with him starting every game behind the plate. So I don't know where you see him defensively and how good he is and where he stands with Jansen and McGuire. I think he's a number 2 behind Jansen in that regard. I think McGuire's a number 3. But yeah, how do you take that bat out of the lineup? And like I said yesterday too, if you have a hurt Springer or a guy in Kirk that's not even hot, just hitting well, hitting the 250, do you keep Kirk in the lineup? That's going to be the question going forward. When Springer's healthy enough to come back in DH, I feel like that's going to be what Charlie's and management's going to have to talk about every day. But yeah, getting him started last night again. Big home run to get to Cole. I think it's when you get a guy like Garrett Cole, getting to him first before you give him a 2-run lead, like say Yankees in the 3rd or 4th get a couple or early in the game, and you let Cole get comfortable. I feel like that's when you have no chance. But getting to him early, yeah, I think it affected Cole and looked like he was injured. I don't know if you know what he's battling right now, but he definitely didn't look comfortable when kind of pulled himself, I guess, right into the game. Well,
they say it's a hamstring, like a tightness in his hamstring. So I don't know if it's precautionary. I don't think there's any way to know 5 days out whether he will make his next start or not. But man, and I'll get back to Kirk in a second. I was there in 2015 when the Blue Jays went into Yankee Stadium in August and then went back to Yankee Stadium in September. And they won both series going away. And you could feel the air come out of the balloon in the Bronx. I mean, that is a rowdy crowd. That is a confident crowd. That is a crowd that will support its players in the best of times. That is a crowd that will let one or more of its players know immediately if things aren't going well. Very rarely do you sense that Yankees fans are demoralized or see something coming before it's actually arrived. And who knows how the next couple of weeks are going to play out, Ziggy. We got to be fair to the New York Yankees. This is a team that won 13 consecutive games. It was in the middle of a 13-game winning streak. That is a 2-week-long winning streak in Major League Baseball just a couple of weeks ago. They have turned around and dropped 8 of their last 10 and coughed up pretty much all of the gains that they had made. So I don't know. I don't think you're ever at your. I don't think you're at your best, or you're never as good as when you're at your best, and you're never as bad as when you're at your worst. But if Garrett Cole can't make his next start, or, for example, if he's scheduled to pitch at Rogers Center when the Yankees come to Toronto later this month and he's not able to go, you look at the depth beneath Garrett Cole right now in that Yankees starting rotation, none of it scares me. And Jonathan Loaisiga, their heart and soul, high-leverage right-handed reliever, just went on the injured list. Aroldis Chapman is an absolute mess right now. Zach Britton is not the guy who pitched for the Yankees a couple of years ago, let alone the guy who was left in the right field bullpen by Buck Showalter of the Baltimore Orioles in the 2016 wildcard game when Edwin Encarnacion walked off Ubaldo Jimenez. The New York Yankees are trending downward right now. They are not having good at-bats. This is the time to pounce, and you've got a couple of rookies going tonight in Alek Manoah and Luis Gil. I mean, if I'm the Toronto Blue Jays right now, I feel as though I'm the shark, and I got a scent of blood in the water, and it's the Yankees who've cut an artery.
Well, what you don't want to do right now is say, okay, we got the first couple, let's kind of relax, things are going well. Like, that's what you don't want to do, and that's what I'm worried about, because this is kind of one of those teams, and it's not just the Jays, it's a lot of teams in pro sports. You win the first couple on a road, or you win a game maybe you shouldn't have won. Who was talking yesterday about the Jays beating Garrett Cole? No one. What was everybody saying yesterday? Oh, this is the one you give up. You're okay losing. You have Mats going. You kind of you don't mind letting this one get away from you.
I was too much of a coward to play the Blue Jays plus 180 on the money line.
Well, going out and betting them is a different thing, but writing them off and saying they have no chance, that's all I heard yesterday, is the fact that they're going against Garrett Cole. They come back, they win the first one. They're hot against the A's. Now they come into New York to get the first game, and then all of a sudden, now we're going against Cole and we have Mats, and we wrote them off yesterday.
Well, yes, but I mean,
that's what I heard a lot of yesterday from friends, from listening to different shows and pods.
But here's the reason why. Garrett Cole is right there with Robbie Ray for the American League Cy Young Award. Like, there's a reason the Yanks gave $324 million over 9 years to Garrett Cole the offseason prior to last. And Steven Matz, who has been fantastic for the Blue Jays in the second half of the season, particularly since the start of August. I mean, he was excellent last night. But you're facing a Yankees lineup that's got Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton, and I know DJ LeMahieu's not had a great year, but that's a right-handed bat who can do damage. Anthony Rizzo isn't really a splits guy. He can hit either side of the plate, being a left-handed hitter. Like, they got a lot of bats at the top of the order, and you figured that they might be able to do some damage. So I think it was a logical take. I don't think anybody was out to lunch, but baseball's unpredictable.
Yeah, I don't think you can count this team out right now. When things are going, a guy like Garrett Cole doesn't even scare me anymore. They really don't. You mentioned LeMahieu. I don't know if you caught the Kirk single up the middle, and it was kind of like on LeMahieu's right side. He had to reach over. How was that one? How was that an error? I couldn't figure that out yesterday. Like, is that a play a second baseman should come up? I don't remember the inning, but I was a little bit surprised. I thought it was a great hit by Kirk, kind of up the middle, and second baseman reaching over. Yeah, I don't know what's going on in the Yankees outfield. I'm not saying that was a bad play. I don't think it was an error, but their Yankees D is really, they've been struggling, and saw it again last night. Saw it in the first game, and with two more against the Jays here, I don't want the Blue Jays to relax now. Like, this team relaxes, bad things can happen.
Okay, but
that's all I'm worried about, is that a team, you get the first two on the road, it's like, okay, if we win another of these next two, it's gravy, and we'll walk out of here 3-4.
Yeah, but
that's when 2-2 happens.
You'd have better insight than any of us, because you played in the National Hockey League, about how a team approaches this sort of thing. You and I talking about the Blue Jays maybe splitting the next two games and being okay walking out the door 3 out of 4 doesn't mean that that's what they're talking about in the clubhouse. And it doesn't mean that that's what they should be talking about in the clubhouse. You and I are hosting a sports talk radio show. I mean, we're trying to talk to each other in the very same way that we would talk to each other off the air, or that we would shoot the breeze with our buddies and try to predict what's going to happen, or, geez, what do you think about this? What if that happens, et cetera, et cetera. I think in the clubhouse, especially now, Ziggy, you take a 3 or a 4 game road trip in the National Hockey League in the dog days of January, and you got to bounce around with some tough travel, and you're landing and arriving in cities late, and you're playing the next night and all that. I think that that's far different in the middle of the dog days than it is when you are pushing for a playoff spot inside the final 3+ weeks of the season. You're not looking past tonight. If you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you don't even know who tomorrow's starting pitcher for the New York Yankees is, Jordan Montgomery.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even care about that.
No, you don't. And you're right. Things right now, it's like when you're at the end of a season and you're making a push to get in the playoffs, yes, it's totally different than a mid-season extended road trip, or you're going through a rough patch, things aren't going well. Yes, this is different. Every game is... you're fighting for your life every single night, and we always say the must wins, or you have to come up with something tonight. You have to, right? It's different, right? So the fact that this Jays team is where they're at right now, and the fact that they're in it, 2 games behind the Red Sox, 2.5 behind the Yankees, yeah, it's what I'm talking about is, did the Jays expect to go in and beat the Yankees in the first 2 of the 4 games? Probably not. Did they expect to beat Garrett Cole yesterday? I'd say no. I understand what your expectations are, but at this point, when you do get those first 2, you don't relax and say, okay, well, this is all gravy now. And that can happen. That gets into a team. And I feel like that's gotten into this team at times during the year. When things go well, it's like, okay, but what made you successful? What good things were you doing as a team? And the Jays have to find that. They have to find whatever confidence they have in their offense right now. And you almost have to kind of bottle it in a sense and find ways to get better. Like, guys, we're going to be better. We're going to be better than 5-1. We're going to be better than 8-0. And that's what your mindset has to be. Like, okay, 8-0, tomorrow we're going to get 10. But if they just say, okay, yeah, things are going well right now, everyone's happy, we're winning, that's when kind of things can get away from you. And just intensity, focus, concentration, that's what all the good teams do. And whether it's... I love the fact that they celebrate and they have the jacket, but that's almost the one thing. And I know baseball's a little bit different. You play 162 games, and it's a long season, but watch the best teams. Do they have fun? Yeah. Do they let the celebrations get out of hand when it's your life is on the line? Very rare, right? And I know, like I said, I know baseball's different than football, and hockey, basketball. Like, I get it. But at the same time, this is, if they let off at all, like losing the next two again, like if they lose tonight and tomorrow, it's like what you just did in the first two games really meant nothing. And that partly, and going 2-2 against the Yankees kind of cuts into what you did against the A's, the 3-game sweep at home. So there's really no room for error right now. And I said, what did I say? 9-2, right? So I'm right on track
they're up
right
to
now.
A pretty good start.
Yeah.
Given that they're whatever and 0 since you said it. What did you say it on Friday before they played Oakland? So they're 5-0.
5-0
on the way to an 11-game stretch where you said they need to be 9-2. I mean, 4-2 is very doable over the next 6 games, especially when you consider that the 4 after the next 2 are against the Baltimore Orioles. I have no reservations right now about the Toronto Blue Jays holding back or not. I mean, Marcus Semien is carrying the torch here. I mean, but look, what have we talked about when things are going well? And this is true for any team in baseball when you have lineup depth, but there's a different hero every game. Marcus Semien with home run number 38, one of his 2 hits on the night. Alejandro Kirk with a couple of home runs. Using that short porch in right field, right? And scoring 3 runs because he had 3 hits. He scored each time he was on base. Lourdes Gurriel did not have a hit last night, but he had a sacrifice fly RBI. He has been red hot for this team, and that has picked up the slack for George Springer, who clearly was struggling to swing the bat when he was playing post-knee injury and is now out of the lineup for God knows how long. Maybe it's just a couple of days. I mean, Charlie Montoyo said before the game yesterday, it's day to day, and today isn't the day. Mm-hmm. And at this time of year, that's all we're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
But Gurriel picking up the slack. Bo Bichette did not have a good offensive night last night and almost took us to Adventureland with a throw or 2 from shortstop.
A couple.
Right?
What's going on? What's going on?
Good thing Vladdy's a gymnast.
Vladdy, you know what? You want to know what the best thing for Vladdy this year was? Having Bo move over to short. I think Vladdy improved so much defensively, and you have to thank Bo for some of these throws that kind of remind me when I was at Milliken Mills Park growing up in Markham. It's like
Mills Park. I played a tourney or 2 there. That is a massive complex, isn't it? There's a bunch of baseball diamonds at Milliken Mills. Man, you're taking me back 30 years.
Yeah, it's like we're at Milliken Mills Park throwing across the crushed rock infield or whatever.
There was nothing worse than a bad hop on a crushed rock infield. You watch these big leaguers play on the beautifully groomed dirt, right? And the perfectly manicured grass. I mean, there's never a bad hop. Yeah. Maybe the odd occasion.
Yeah.
Man, you get a shot hit right at you. You're playing third base or short as a 12-year-old, and you're hoping
get it right in the mouth.
You're hoping it doesn't kick right off that small boulder they forgot to move away.
Oh, yeah. So some of these ball throws are reminding me of Milliken Mills Park playing baseball as a kid. But, Vladdy's been great at first. I'm trying to think how many days I've come on in the morning and said, Vladdy's, it's just the growing pains. We got to let him ease into the season. This is a learning year. I don't think we've done that. We've talked about a couple bad days Vlad has had at first and what he has to do better. But, some of the throws he's gotten from Bo this year that he's picked up out of the dirt have been incredible. And last night was another one of those nights.
And the thing is Bo didn't do anything with the bat last night and looks a little lost right now. But tonight is a different night.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Semien was on fire. Kirk was on fire. Teoscar, right? But the thing is, it's who's coming in the next night. Like, guys can't stay hot all the time. It's like it's like when you're playing golf in a best ball and you take the best score between the 2 players. You need your partner to kind of pick you up. Your drive kind of goes off into the woods or you have a bad hole. That's when you need your partner to win a hole for you. And that's what the bats are kind of like in baseball when you're trying to stay hot. It's like it can't be Semien every night. It can't be Grichuk every night.
Could it be Grichuk on some night? On a night? Were you trying to sneak that one in there?
Yeah, I tried sneaking
my boy Randall.
Okay, all right.
So,
I mean, it could be Grichuk on a night. I wouldn't mind if it was a night at some point.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
It can't be Vladdy every single night. And, he kind of came up empty yesterday. But that's when you need Vladdy and Bo to kind of pick it up. It's just filling holes right now. And when guys don't show up or don't have it, who else is there? And it can't always be a momentum thing or confidence builder where, these guys are going, so now all of us can get going. It's got to be, no, it's going to be me tonight. And then you have to need somebody else say, no, I've got the first hit tonight. Like that's what would happen in a NHL dressing room. It's like, who's got the first one tonight? And then everyone's kind of calling for the first one. It just gets guys going, right, to make a big play.
Well, there's that. Plus, I mean, when you're getting the starting pitching, particularly, the pitching in general, but the starting pitching the Blue Jays are getting, it alleviates a lot of the pressure. I mean, Steven Matz was absolutely fantastic. 6 innings of 7-hit, 1-run baseball. Garrett Cole was out with a bit of a hammy issue before the 4th inning was over. I thought the Yankees bullpen pitched pretty well, actually held the Blue Jays to just a couple of runs over, what was it? Like 5 1/3 innings of work. They gave the Yankees a chance to win, but it was Matz, Soria. So it was good to see Joakim Soria pitch a good and effective inning. I know he induced the ground ball double play off of the bat of DJ LeMahieu to get them out of the 7th inning. So that snuffed anything out there. And then Tim Meza pitched for a second consecutive night. So I wouldn't expect to see Meza under any circumstance this evening. And I have no problem with the fact that Charlie Montoyo went to Jordan Romano with a 4-run lead. Lock it down tonight. We'll worry about tomorrow. And Romano did not pitch in the first game of the series, so he should be available for tonight's game. We didn't see Adam Simber last night. He should be available for tonight. He will be available. Trevor Richards didn't pitch last night. Where does Julian Merriweather fit into this whole thing? He's got to be activated. But where does he fit in? Nate Pearson, just one good outing. I'm not entirely sure that you want to throw him into high leverage just yet, but if this thing goes long, and especially if it goes into extra innings and you need a guy who can hump up a fastball in triple digits, we'll see how it all plays out. Bottom line is it's exciting right now. The Blue Jays have pulled even in the loss column with the holders of the second wildcard spot, the Boston Red Sox. They are 2 games behind Boston by virtue of the fact that the Red Sox have played 4 more games and have 4 more wins. But the Jays will go for the series victory in New York tonight and try to pace themselves toward a sweep, which they could accomplish tomorrow night after a win tonight. It's exciting times. The Red Sox getting thumped by Tampa Bay. They close out their series with the Rays tonight. The Mariners and Astros in Houston. And you got the White Sox in Oakland playing the middle game of a 3-game set tonight. We will be all over it. All over it. Dan Schulman will join us later on in the broadcast. Adnan Virk of MLB Network to talk Blue Jays, to talk the cratering Yankees. It's an exciting time in Canadian tennis. Both Leylah Annie Fernandez and Felix Auger-Aliassime are on to the semifinals of the U.S. Open. Michael Downey is the president and CEO of Tennis Canada. We will speak to him. And we will tee up with James Sharman, Canada, El Salvador, BMO Field tonight. Bring your scarves. Get there by 7:30 for the anthem. Alphonso Davies, will he play? We'll tell you next. Josh hitting that post. Love it. Man, oh man. Now the Canadians are thriving at the U.S. Open tennis tournament. So we've got, well, for the first time in history, I mean, Bianca won a couple of years ago, and that was history for Canada. For the first time in history, we've got 2 Canadians in semifinal matchups. Leila Annie Fernandez advancing, beating Alina Svitolina in a third-set tiebreak, and then Felix Auger-Aliassime winning in a walkover last night. His opponent retired in the second set due to an adductor injury. So that's good news for Felix, Ziggy. He should be good and rested heading into his semi with Daniil Medvedev on Friday. So he's got a couple of days off, plus he played a short match last night.
Yeah, I mean, going up against Medvedev is going to be tough, though.
Medvedev and then Djokovic if you get past Medvedev. Like, it's a grind from here on out.
Yeah, so he's made the semis last couple years, runner-up in 19. I feel like Medvedev is like that second tier. I don't want to throw him with. He's not the elite yet. He's not with the Federers of the world, but he's like in that second tier trying to break in, right? With Djokovic, Nadal, right? So I don't want to include him in that top 3 because I think those 3 are. I think they're the best 3 in any sport in all of history of anything, right? I think when you look at what those 3 have done and the domination, so I feel like Medvedev is one of those guys though that's trying to break into that, and he's almost there. Like he's just been knocking on the door, and it's going to be a tough match for Felix. It's going to be tough. So the fact that he's gotten this far though, and who he's had to go through, and it is nice that you get a little bit of a break, right? When your opponent goes down with an injury and you kind of get the night off in a sense, but it's not going to get any easier going, the rest of the way here. This is going to be quite the challenge for him, but has played well and has looked well. It's not like he's been like, I know you can't take the match last night in the fact that your opponent goes down, but in this tournament, he's looked dominant, right? He's looked strong. He hasn't looked fatigued at all. Yeah, you don't see him struggling. Whenever he gets behind, he's a guy that kind of claws back into matches and doesn't let it get away from him. So he's looked good, and that's what you want. You want to look if things are going well in a tournament, and the fact that he did get the night off and he should be rested now, it's definitely a positive for Felix.
There's no question about it, and I don't think Felix or even Medvedev has to fit into that so-called big 3, because the truth exists in any walk of life. Ultimately, people move on. Like Roger Federer will not win another major. I'm putting that out there right now. And somebody's going to say, well, he'll show you. And the other person's going to say, thanks, Captain Obvious. The guy's 40 years old. So Roger Federer's days are behind him. He's now managing his appearances, right? He's skipping clay court season every now and then, and he's focusing more on Wimbledon and the grass court season of the middle of the summer and all of that. Like he's just not going to play a full schedule anymore. And I don't think we can consider him at or near the top. He's right there with Novak Djokovic for the greatest of all time. I put Nadal in a different bracket. I don't know if we need to determine rungs on the ladder for those guys, but Nadal was such a clay court, or is such a clay court specialist, that is where the majority of his success in terms of surfaces has come from. But, Nadal is into his early to mid-30s now. Djokovic is into his what is he, 33? So early to mid-30s. He's getting there. I think the door is opening now for the next wave. I think Djokovic is a guy who's going to contend for the next 5 years or so. He's going to go down as the greatest tennis player who's ever lived. He's going to walk away the clear leader in most Grand Slams or most major tournaments. So can an Auger-Aliassime be a part of that grouping, that next wave? Absolutely. Can Denis Shapovalov? Absolutely. On the women's side, Bianca's already won a U.S. Open, and there's Leila Annie Fernandez 1 day after her 19th birthday, hitting forehand winners that hugged the line 5-5 in a third-set tiebreak against Alina Svitolina. You weren't going to bail me out if I massacred that word. Oh, my God.
Svitolina. Nice. You got it.
Alina Svitolina. There you go.
Perfect.
And you're not going to correct me if I'm wrong. But, I mean, there's a fearlessness. She has captured that crowd. You've earned that, Ziggy. If the New York crowd, this isn't to put your hands together. It's Wimbledon. This isn't that. This isn't Paris and clay courts. This is hard knocks, badass. If you've won over the New York crowd, the Flushing crowd, then you've done something. And she turned that crowd over to her side earlier in the tournament in her match against Naomi Osaka, and they haven't looked back. And there's now a love fest going on there. She says they're propelling her. Whether they are or they're not, I don't care to qualify it or quantify it. If she believes it, great. But she's playing some top tennis right now at 18, 19 years old in the biggest moments. And it's something to see, man. There's a fearlessness to her, like with Bianca a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and it's a big lefty serve. Svitolina had trouble with it, just awkward, right? Fernandez, big forehand. It's got a lot of power to it, and she's crafty as well on the court. Kind of creative, really tough to play against. I feel like she guessed right a lot last night as well. And just making the right plays. And that's tennis, right? But the big thing for me with Fernandez, she's done all that. She's got the forehand, the big serve you saw last night, coming to the net in the right times, being aggressive. But for me, it's in between play. So after winning a point, she controls the court, like arms up in the air. She shows confidence. She's not shying away from the big stage. And at such a young age, I think that's kind of what impresses me the most. When things weren't going away, doesn't really get too upset, too down, and just kind of even keel when things aren't great on the court for her, or doesn't hit a shot she should hit, right? So that's for me, seeing where an athlete's at, especially tennis. You're out there by yourself. It's a bit of an intimidating crowd, and at the U.S. Open, and the fact that she looks comfortable. She doesn't look like she's looked like she's been there. This is her 15th U.S. Open, and I think that's what's really gonna set the stage for her the rest of the way here, and how far she'll make it. But yeah, at such a young age, and what she's done, and the fact that her coach and dad can't be there, I feel like that would be another obstacle, just not having your coach. Like you see tennis players all the time after they, hit a shot or win a point. They always look to their coach, right? It's like fist up to their camp in the corner. And that's tough if her dad's not there. It's somebody you grew up playing with, someone that's coached you, and then to not have you, especially at such a young age. I can remember my parents, one of them would come out to every single game, and then when you don't have that later in your career, when I get into junior hockey, it's a little bit of an adjustment. So for her not to have her dad there, I think that's really tough as well.
Yeah, and I just think that there's a fortitude there, because she had Svitolina on the ropes, right? She was serving for the match at 5-3 and didn't get it done. You could have fallen apart right there. And she took Svitolina deep in Svitolina's 4-5, 5-4, however you want to describe it, service game. But Svitolina saw it through. And now all of a sudden it seems like you're pacing toward a tiebreak. And to win your service game, to push it to 6-5, which assured at worst a tiebreak. I just thought that there were crunch time moments, and then the forehand winner down the line, 5-5 in the tiebreak. that there were huge gut check moments, and she continues to check all of those boxes. And here's the thing for Layla. In the women's semifinals, there are 4 players left, obviously. I'm pretty good at math that way. None has appeared in a majors final. None. So from an experience point of view, Layla may be young, but none of them has been to this point. And she is trending in the right direction. It's heady times, man. And it's great tennis. It's great tennis. The U.S. Open tennis tournament, from a majors perspective, is the equivalent to golf's Waste Management Open. Right? Like, it's rowdy. You got to shut the hell up when it's time for someone to serve, and they're rallying. But after that point is made, roars, jeers, boos. Like, if you can handle, they say in New York, right? If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. If you can handle that stuff.
Yeah, they know tennis. That's they understand the game, and they're into it. They're engaged, and what else do you want for a tennis player? You want that. Remember Bianca talking about it, and like, I can't imagine going against American at the U.S. Open. I find like that would be the toughest atmosphere for anything. So
yeah, like going against Serena in her prime, right, where she's already established and all of that. That would be intimidating. Yeah, there are no tea and crumpets at the U.S. Open. Costanza might be leaning into an ice cream cone, or what was that, a bowl of ice cream? Just remember that was dripping off his face. But there are no tea and crumpets at the U.S. Open. Canada, El Salvador tonight down at BMO. Will Alphonso Davies play? We'll tell you. And at the top of the hour, we'll try to find some value picks as we do some futures bets for the coming NFL season. Oh, by the way, it starts tomorrow night. And the Blue Jays are right in the thick of it now. They continue to be red hot. James Sharman, Sportsnet soccer analyst and the proprietor of Sharman's Proper Pies, will be along at 7:35. Canada, El Salvador, in the Canadian men's soccer team's third of 14 matches in the octagonal, the final round of CONCACAF 2022 World Cup qualifying. Canada trying to get to Qatar late next year. And the guys have a couple of draws at home against Honduras and then on Sunday night in Nashville on the road against the United States. The news tonight, Ziggy, and everybody, by the way, is encouraged. If you're going to the game, and Stephen Brunt told us he will be there, and he will be wearing his scarf, you're encouraged to wear red, wear your scarves, wear your caps, and get there prompt for 7:30 for the national anthem. So going to be a huge, huge night, Canada, El Salvador. The news is that Alphonso Davies, with an undisclosed injury, is actually already back in Munich. He has flown back to Germany for his club team, Bayern Munich, to take care of whatever injury it was that he suffered. Looked to be something to do with his left leg in, the 73rd minute or so in Nashville the other night. But no Alphonso Davies for Canada down at BMO this evening.
Yeah, that's a massive loss, right? They lost him earlier in CONCACAF, and the fact that he won't be there going forward after this round 3, and I mean, if he's getting an MRI, what is it? His knee? It seems
he
to
was
be
grabbing
the
back. Yeah, it looked like knee, maybe hammy, something like that. Yeah.
So yeah, he left in the 77th minute against the U.S. the other day in the 1-1 draw, and the fact that they're not going to have him, it's who's going to set up Larin now, right? And I know there's a couple different options. Buchanan, I believe, that's kind of that's a name I heard. David, they could kind of throw up at left wing and kind of try to just fill the gap of Davies. I don't think he's replaceable. That's the tough part, right? And if you're going to the game tonight, you're not going to get a chance to watch him play. It's a little disappointing, but they have to keep moving on. Every team's dealing with injuries. The U.S. was dealing with a couple injuries. They were dealing with a COVID situation where a player broke protocol. So the fact that Canada does have this big loss, should shouldn't really affect the team internally, right? Obviously, from us looking in and from a fan standpoint, it's a tough loss, and all Canadians across the country, it's not news you want to hear, but in their dressing room, it's who's up, who can do what Davies did for us, and just obviously the skill won't be there, but the energy, the work ethic, there are different things you can do when one of your star players goes down, or your best player in this case, and it might not just be David or Buchanan. It might be a handful of players that kind of have to find something else. It might be a systems thing, like coaches. The coaching staff's going to have to change their approach to games, I'm sure now. So tonight will be very telling with what we see from this team going forward. Can they find a way without Davies, just from a team standpoint, and from other players having an opportunity to kind of do more? So that's and it's in a game it's a must win for them. Like let's not be kidding ourselves.
Well, and they are heavy favorites right now. And if you're looking for value, if you're looking to throw a little money down on this game, there's the draw for these two teams to draw plus 320 right now. You could have won some money on the Honduras game last week if you had laid money down on a draw. That is a value play. Canada's minus 222 right now. El Salvador, the plus 725 in more than 7-1. They are a significant underdog, and the biggest underdog in any of the four CONCACAF matches that take place today. Canada, El Salvador. Panama is home to Mexico. Mexico, the obvious heavy favorites there. Costa Rica, Jamaica, and Honduras is playing the United States. So we're all over it. Canada, El Salvador. James Sharman, who will replace or do their best, I think is the better question, to replace Alphonso Davies. He'll be along at 7:35. Michael Downey is the CEO of Tennis Canada. Layla, Felix, off to the semifinals of the U.S. Open. Heady times for Canadian tennis. The Blue Jays are right in the thick of the AL wildcard race. I mean, we could sell it to you a couple of days ago, and you could say, man, are these guys saying it for real, or is this some snake oil? It ain't snake oil now. They are tied in the loss column with the second wild card holder, the Boston Red Sox, as you wake up this morning. The Jays are in this thing. 2 games back of Boston, tied in the loss column. We'll reset the Blue Jays, and we'll try to find some value futures plays as the NFL season is one sleep away. In our continued efforts to go where you are, we have proudly partnered up with one of the top podcast platforms out there, Stitcher. Stitcher was one of the early adopters of podcasting and is considered one of the top podcatchers on the planet. You can find Leadoff and every other show on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, on Stitcher. The Blue Jays are, red hot, 9-1. In their last 10 games, they are on a baseball high. The Cubs lost last night. Chicago Cubs, crappy Cubs, were on a 7-game winning streak, but that's over. So the Blue Jays are on a baseball high 6-game win streak. They have closed the gap on New York, the Yankees, who have the top of the 2 wildcard spots, to just 2.5 games. And they have pulled to within 2 of Boston, the second wildcard holder. But here's the thing. Boston's differential, the 2-game differential, all is in wins. 4 wins more than the Blue Jays. The Jays and Red Sox are even in the loss column. And if you follow baseball, if you're a diehard fan, you know that watching the loss column is the best way to track these sorts of things. Bottom line is the Jays have 4 games in hand, and they got to win them. They got to win them. Or they've got to make up ground by winning some games on nights the Red Sox lose, which has been the case over the last few days. It has all gone the Blue Jays' way. Another night like last night would help. Another night like last night and another night like the night before, where the Blue Jays win and every other team in wildcard contention loses. We'll get Ziggy back on here in just a moment. James Sharman will join us at 7:35. Who is going to play in place of Alphonso Davies, and how are the Canadian men going to try to overcome the loss of their best players? They get set to play El Salvador tonight down at BMO Field. It's a 7:30 start, and I mean, we're asking you to get down there for 7:30. Be there for the anthem. Make noise. Wear red. Scarves, hats, jerseys, you name it. See a red down at BMO tonight. Kids are back in school. What the hell do we want more than anything else in this world right now? We want to be able to get the hell out of the house. Well, there's no better way to do it than Canada, El Salvador down at BMO Field tonight. We'll tee it up with James Sharman. Also a heady time for Canadian tennis. Michael Downey is the president and CEO of Tennis Canada. He will be along, as Felix Auger-Aliassime. It didn't hurt that Carlos Alcaraz, his opponent, had to retire in the second set last night, a bit of an adductor injury. Nobody knew what an adductor was until Dominik Hasek yanked his in the 2006 Olympics. Remember, he became that big soap opera with the Ottawa Senators. Hasek never played for the Senators again. He went to Ottawa that year to win a Stanley Cup because the Senators seemed to have the best team coming out of the lockout. And he yanks his adductor. Everybody was calling it a groin. Nobody knew what an adductor was. Never played for the Senators again. Like, kept them holding on for 3 months. And ever since then, we've known what an adductor is. And that is what cost Alcaraz his spot in the match last night. So Felix moves on the men's side. He's got Daniil Medvedev on Friday. And Novak Djokovic has a semi to win, presuming he does. And you'd be silly not to, because he's, I think, inarguably, you could say arguably if you want to argue about it, but inarguably the best tennis player on the men's side ever. Presuming he goes through, that's the road for Felix. To get by Medvedev, no easy task, and then to get through Djokovic in the final, should he get there. No easy task. Leylah Fernandez, it's a little bit different. She and the 3 other female semifinalists have never been to a U.S. Open final. It is a wide open field right now. And you get a sense on both sides as Roger Federer plays less, hits 40, begins to age out, as Rafa Nadal's body, which especially his knees, had such wear and tear over the last decade plus, as he starts to fade ever so slightly. Djokovic is still in the back end of his prime. Nobody's denying him that. But as those vacancies begin to open up at the top of the brackets for both men and women, with Serena playing far less now, maybe some Canadians are set to fill it. So it's quite something. Thumbs up, Talking Josh. Do we have Ziggy or not? All right. Well, we are looking for value. We are looking for value in the National Football League. We're just one sleep away from the NFL season. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Dallas Cowboys will play tomorrow night. All right, so we're checking out the sites, be it CoolBet, be it OddsShark, Bodog, and we're looking for value with some futures plays here. Possible AFC division winners. And I don't think most of the favorites will surprise you. The Buffalo Bills are favored to win the AFC East. They're minus 155. So if you're new to the gambling game, essentially, you got to throw $155 down to win 100. The Tennessee Titans, the AFC South is something. You've had the Titans with a COVID outbreak. You've had the Indianapolis Colts with Carson Wentz missing a good portion of the preseason with COVID and an injury. The Jacksonville Jaguars with, I think, inarguably, we'll see how it all plays out, but inarguably, the top rookie quarterback in the NFL, Trevor Lawrence, went first overall, and the Houston Texans are an absolute mess. the Kansas City Chiefs are heavily favored at minus 290 to win the AFC West. Here are my 3 value plays. I'm staying away from the AFC South. The Colts are plus 150. Put 100 down to win 150. That's possible. The Indianapolis Colts have a pretty good defense. I like the New England Patriots at plus 360. So throw 100 down to win $360. Mac Jones, rookie quarterback. What can Bill Belichick wrangle out of him? I know that Tom Brady wasn't a true rookie when he took over for Drew Brees. He had been in the Patriot system for a couple of years, but there is precedent of a guy stepping in, taking over, and having success. I do like Buffalo to win the division, but at plus 360, New England is a worthwhile play. How about this in the AFC North? The Baltimore Ravens are favored at plus 115. The Cleveland Browns plus 155. And I am right with Ross Tucker. If you heard Ross Tucker on our program at 8 o'clock yesterday morning, he likes 3 teams in the AFC to be potential Super Bowl finalists. Cleveland is one of them. That is a team that is going into this season healthy. Baker Mayfield, they've got Odell Beckham Jr. back from the knee tear. They've got the hefty running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And they had issues, particularly last year, in their defensive secondary. They addressed those. They also got Myles Garrett's significant support on the pass rush. Veteran Jadeveon Clowney is now a Cleveland Brown. I like the Browns plus 155 to win the AFC North. And here's one that I think is worth keeping an eye on. Touched on just a couple of minutes ago that Kansas City is minus 290 to win the AFC West. And you would say, well, yeah, they're back-to-back Super Bowl finalists, having won a couple of years ago and then losing to Tampa Bay last year. These guys have come out of the AFC 2 consecutive years. Patrick Mahomes is right in his prime, right at the top of his game. Here's the thing. You tell me how many times teams just simply repeat as division champions. I get it. The New England Patriots, they did it for like a decade and a half with Miami winning a division to interrupt that once in about a decade and a half. But the AFC East was crap. I think the Los Angeles Chargers with Justin Herbert are on the come up and at plus 490. Put 100 down to win 490. Put 1,000 down to win 4,900. Put 10,000 down to win $49,000 on the possibility of the LA Chargers winning the division. I think it is a play worth looking at. Good value on the Patriots, on the Browns, and on the LA Chargers as underdogs to win their respective divisions in the AFC. We will take a look at the NFC tomorrow. What do you make of that, Ziggy? Oh, look at me.
I love those picks. They're good value picks. Yes, I'm back. Technical issues this morning. It's been tough trying to figure out if I'm on Opal, if I'm on Report It, but Opal is back.
I'll tell you what right now. You're going to have to explain it to me, too. I don't think the listener knows what Opal is. I don't think the listener knows what Report It is. I was calling it Report IT for like 2 years.
We just do Report It. It's easier than Report IT. Opal is connected to a laptop. It's got a microphone. It's got a full setup like you're in the studio. If that goes down, then it's a headset on the cell phone, and that's the Report It app. And then I've had some issues with the headset there. So this is my second backup system going, and apparently it's okay right now. But I like those picks. So you got Patriots at 360, Browns at 155, Chargers at plus 490. Who's your AFC South?
Well, I steered clear of the AFC South. No, I steered. Well, look, the Titans are minus 110. The Colts are plus 150.
Yeah,
I think it's going to come down to those two teams. I don't see the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence. If this is a division that is won with a 9-7 record, there's an outside, and I would say it's extremely outside, but there's an outside chance that Jacksonville, if they get off to a good start, Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer's system, if they get off to a good start, they could be playing meaningful football into late November, perhaps early December. But I do think this comes down to the Titans and Colts. There have been COVID scares involving both teams. I mean, Mike Vrabel, the head coach of Tennessee, missed a chunk of camp, missed a preseason game on the sideline because of COVID. Carson Wentz, the quarterback for the Colts, the ex-Eagle, he's had COVID. So we don't know what kind of role that's going to play. I'm steering clear of the division, but I would probably lay some money on the Colts at plus 150 just because there's better value there if I was going to put cake down. But I mean, I'm comfortable with the Patriots. I still think the Bills are going to win the division, but I'd be comfortable playing the Patriots at that number. I really like the Browns at plus 155. I mean, the Ravens are favored at plus 115. And then the LA Chargers, I mean, the odds are so high that is a really good value play if the Chiefs suffer a couple of injuries. Plus the odds, man. Winning as consistently as Kansas City has done is really difficult in today's NFL. And the Patriots are an exception for all those years because the Dolphins, what have I said to you a bunch of times about those Patriots runs? And I take nothing away from Tom Brady or Bill Belichick or what they accomplished. Yes, the Patriots were excellent, but that did not mean that Miami had to spend 2 decades being stupid. That did not mean that Buffalo had to have 2 decades of instability and incompetence. That did not mean that the New York Jets had to be a running joke of an organization like they were. The Patriots had no opposition in the AFC East. They went and got it done in the playoffs. They deserve credit for that, but they had nobody pushing at them from the rear. I think the Chargers can challenge the Chiefs this year. And I think those 2 head-to-head matchups, because, of course, divisional rivals, they play each other twice. I think those 2 matchups are going to be crucial.
Yeah, Justin Herbert is how much better can he get, right? We saw the season he had last year and the fact that he can carry a team. He can take you. He can win a Super Bowl. I think he's that good. So the Chargers, yes, I'm bullish on the Chargers, but if you want to go, I want to talk about Jacksonville because I think that's an interesting one and a play you said you think you would make at plus.
No, I'm not touching the Jaguars at plus 600. I don't think they're going to
not at all.
I don't. Well, look, the number's good. I mean, but I don't legitimately believe they have any chance to win the division. So I'm not going to go near it.
I think their over-under is 6 wins. That's what I think it is. So they won 1 game last year. They've got to win 5 more.
Okay, they play the Texans twice. That helps.
Okay, yeah. They're 4-12 last year and a complete mess. But that's the thing. Can they get 5 more wins with Lawrence, right? So, I don't think that's happening. But I mean, how do you go against the Chiefs not winning the AFC West? Titans winning the AFC South. Like, I love the value plays, but betting against my Ravens at plus 115, I don't know.
Browns
I think,
are good, man.
I think they're gonna surprise a lot of people this year. And Ross Tucker, did he not?
I don't even think
Cleveland is one of his Super Bowl favorites or in his top 5.
Well, he said Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland. If anybody is surprised by Cleveland, it's because they don't follow the sport closely. The Cleveland, 2 things: they don't follow the sport closely, and therefore they revert back to the reputation of the franchise. The Cleveland Browns went to Pittsburgh last year and smoked the Steelers in a playoff game. And I know Roethlisberger, and it was a tough year, and some weirdness happened. They got off to a great start, the Steelers did, and then they stumbled in the second half and carried that into the playoffs. I get it. The Browns still went to their long-standing traditional and divisional rival and smoked them in the playoffs. And I can tell you this, if it weren't for a weird call and an awkward play or 2 in that AFC divisional game in Kansas City, that result between the Browns and Kansas City may have been different at Arrowhead. So, like, the Browns are good, and they address the areas of need on defense. This is a well-rounded team in Cleveland. Keep an eye out this year. If they stumble, I would be more surprised if they stumble than I would be if they win the division. If the Cleveland Browns are 10-7 or 9-8 or 8-9, that would surprise me more than if they win the AFC North.
Yeah, I just a good start for me is for the Browns. I just feel like that's going to be the thing. They're gonna know right away. They open up against the Chiefs, right? So in
KC,
yeah, you're gonna see right away. Like, I think that's gonna be a big tell. I'm not saying they have to win the first game of the season or their season's done. It's a write-off, but they're gonna know right away what they have and how much better you think they got than last year. I think they're making steps in the right direction, but I just don't see them. I know Ross thinks he's in their top 5 or 6 for Ross Tucker. I just don't see them in that top echelon of teams in the NFL. They're just not there yet for me. I need to see more. So,
dun 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 dun.
Michael?
Dun 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 dun. Yeah, we need a little David Branch. Can we get a little David Branch? Talking Josh Santos is now trying to get Ziggy down the line. Technical difficulties this morning. Hey, I'm on the Browns. Take my word for it. Plus 155 to win the AFC North. The Blue Jays back in action tonight. A couple of kids, Alek Manoah with a little more experience than Luis Gil, who will make his 4th start for the New York Yankees. Here's the thing with Gil, for whatever it's worth, small sample size. 15 2/3 innings over 3 starts, 0 runs allowed. 0 runs, 0 earned runs. Nobody has scored off Luis Gil yet. So the Blue Jays are going to try to crack that nut. I think that they will. And this team is vibing right now. This team is feeling it. No team in baseball has won more consecutive games than the 6 the Blue Jays have. We can say that safely because the Cubs lost to the Reds last night. Cubs suck, but they happen to have a late season 7-game winning streak snapped last night by Cincinnati. The Jays are even in the loss column with Boston. Alejandro Kirk is feeling it. Marcus Semien is feeling it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. didn't homer last night, but he is feeling it. And you never know who the hero is going to be tonight. Bo Bichette, 0 for 5 last night. Maybe it's Bo tonight with a big swing. Maybe it's Teoscar Hernandez tonight with a big swing. That's the beauty of this, Ziggy. This team has unlocked the offense that disappeared on it for most of August.
Yeah, they turned it around. And it started against the A's. They didn't give up in a game where they were right out of it. One of the most exciting games of the year, that first one of the series. And they just continued with the momentum. It's one of those things where you steal that first game and you sweep the A's, and then they take that right into New York. And the fact that they went up against Garrett Cole and absolutely controlled the game yesterday. The offense was there again. Mats came, started the game, got into some trouble at times, but nothing too bad, no walks, and had a performance that I think we're used to seeing out of him. And they're going to stack up the wins now. I didn't expect them to go undefeated through this, but we talked about this 11-game kind of part of the season here, a little stretch against the A's, the Yankees, and the Orioles, where they're going to need something like that to just get in the race, right? Get a couple games within New York and Boston. You mentioned it, Scotty. I think you said New York's going to be easier to catch than Boston, and you're right. They're right within reach with the Jays right